Those Asians who serve you teriyaki, and that woman who serves your every need, who's a feminist and did too many drugs now. The white man you call a supremacist and racist, who wears camouflage, doesn't waste a good hunt on a family who doesn't care anymore now, and doesn't stand outside and say to the bike rider in front of the car not obeying the laws, they're gonna die, they're gonna die, they're gonna die. And nobody stops to say, oh my gosh, you're allowing people to kill people, working your jobs with your big paychecks and your money accounts, with your prestigious degrees from those universities and colleges where you worked in a library, you worked in an internship, and you went to Amazon and made hundreds of thousands of dollars and then drove your car with freedom. But a cancer survivor can't explain psychology, psychiatry, and neuroscience and neurology. A human can't have a goal of being a doctor when there's culture and ethnicity involved, dominance maintained by a mass and a group who say Allah, Sharia law, Torah, Catholic, and God. As long as Jesus dies on a cross, he did a long time ago now, and Satan and the devil now rise from the dead, Hitler ashes from a suicidal maniac who made the psychology y'all, the psychiatry everyone appreciates during a Holocaust of gassing Jews, shooting dead victims, and invading Tibet afterwards. And threatening afterwards, and harassing afterwards, and more and more and more and more conflict and war and duality. No matter, with no difference available, with how many words a human speaks about a subject someone has learned in over 10 years of study. Not counting the years spent with a friend named Little Mayreen who wore a hijab and talked to me about a burqa and encouraged me to keep learning about a Quran. She said her family from Pakistan never intended for her husband she met when she was young to be in arranged marriage. She had to be now with the children she has working as a nurse, with Danny working as a nurse and Jessica working as a nurse, and Riggs and Tinke, a shaman from Tibet, who says Om Mani Padme Hum, even though Mao has sedated his family and eliminated his home in a location those hippies call Himalayas now. An easier choice, similar to a counselor who just cancels an appointment and never returns a phone call for months, who's also a building manager who said before, too many of those notices, you're going to be evicted and homeless, but doesn't solve the problems and make decisions to help with a person who needs heat and warmth in a winter with a coronavirus pandemic. With more questions, how are you feeling? What's your mood? Does your color cause you suicidal thoughts? Does yourself and your ego talk too much and give you too much distraction and confusion and hallucinations for you to go to a hospital to get some medicine to treat those observed patterns of self-abuse rather than self-love? Suggesting to go down to the occupied zone called CHOP in the summer last year or the year before or some other time where they're giving out coffee. And I can have conversations with those anarchists and those Antifa and learn how to survive with my United States of America hat they burned downtown in Denver and elsewhere, and restrict and limit listening outside my door now. Next door, in neighbors' homes in a house with the room they rent now. To feel the love provided by a community they share with their free food and free services and free words and language and gestures and culture and art and entertainment and colors of a revolution they began when my friends, my homies, my gangster buddies went to tell ISIS in Iraq and Afghanistan and Osama bin Laden to stop killing humans where I live now. Who said there was a conspiracy and colonialism by George Bush, Mr. Former President, who had a dad in the CIA who they said was racist. And they put up tents and they occupied Seattle Central University. They carried pistols on their sides and firearms in their fingers to shoot and kill those soldiers who came back as veterans, who wouldn't give their numbers they requested and demanded. In an interview they provided for them to disclose their history and their privacy so they can feel their emotion and their social benefit as gender neutral and not some man, woman, or transgender flag with those colors they call pride, honor, courage, tenacity, and grit to defeat economics and cause starving for anyone who doesn't agree, to disagree with a flag they say should be burned in the street where they pee and they poop and they walk their dogs with freedom and ride and ride and ride their vehicles and their bikes and their skateboards and use their awareness to cause confusion with attention, to make concentration and focus a self and an ego they control in a system of mind, behavior, observation, and psychology and unfortunately, warfare and philosophy and theory and death and violence and suffering and more and more and more poverty now. The end.